contours of daily life, turning familiar routines into landscapes of quiet torment. For Kelly Osbourne, the vibrant and outspoken personality known for her unfiltered candor on shows like Fashion Police, this truth became painfully evident in the wake of her father Ozzy Osbourne's death. In a deeply moving episode of the Osbournes Podcast, Kelly opened up about the overwhelming grief that enveloped her family, revealing intimate details of how it manifested in the most vulnerable moments of their lives. Her voice, usually laced with humor and defiance, cracked with emotion as she described a sorrow so profound it felt alien to her very being. "I never realized just how horrible grief is," Kelly confessed, her words hanging heavy in the air like a fog that refuses to lift. At 41, she had navigated the highs and lows of fame, addiction recovery, and the relentless spotlight of her family's reality TV empire. Yet, nothing could have prepared her for the visceral hollowness left by Ozzy's absence. The Prince of Darkness, the heavy metal icon whose life was a whirlwind of excess, rebellion, and improbable survival, from biting the head off a bat on stage to overcoming decades of substance abuse, had been a constant force in her world. His passing over the summer marked not just the end of an era for rock music, but the shattering of a familial anchor that Kelly had perhaps taken for granted. The depth of her love for Ozzy was something Kelly had always known intellectually, but feeling its absence brought a new dimension of pain. "I never knew I was capable of loving somebody so much and missing somebody so much," she admitted, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken memories. Those words capture the paradox of grief. It amplifies the love that once filled every corner of your heart, only to echo back emptiness. For Kelly, this wasn't abstract philosophy, it was the brutal reality of waking up to a world where her father's gravelly laugh no longer echoed through the halls of their home, where his stories of Black Sabbath's wild tours were now relics to be retold by others. Ozzy's influence on Kelly was profound and multifaceted. Growing up as the daughter of rock royalty, she inherited not just his rebellious spirit but also his resilience. Ozzy's battles with Parkinson's disease in his later years had already tested the family's bonds, drawing them closer through shared caregiving and quiet moments of vulnerability. But his death transformed those tests into a permanent void. Kelly's reflections on the podcast peeled back layers of her public persona, showing a woman grappling with the universality of loss. I never thought there'd be a day where he wouldn't be here," she said, her admission a poignant reminder that even those surrounded by fame and fortune are not immune to the human frailty of mortality. As the conversation unfolded, it became clear that grief in the Osbourne household was a shared burden, one that ebbed and flowed like the unpredictable rhythms of Ozzy's music. Sharon Osbourne, Kelly's mother and the indomitable matriarch of the family, joined in with her own raw confessions. At 73, Sharon had been Ozzy's rock through 4 decades of marriage, weathering scandals, health crises, and the chaos of celebrity life. Her role on The X Factor as a judge had showcased her sharp wit and no-nonsense demeanor, but beneath that exterior lay a woman who now confronted nights haunted by solitude. "I hate going to bed at night," Sharon revealed, her voice stripped of its usual bravado. The simple act of retiring to bed, once a mundane ritual shared with Ozzy, had become a dreaded confrontation with absence. Sleeping alone after years of companionship felt like an invitation for memories to flood in unbidden, recollections of late-night talks, of Ozzy's snoring symphony, of the comfort in knowing he was just an arm's reach away. Sharon's admission highlighted a lesser-discussed facet of widowhood, the physical intimacy of loss. It's not just the emotional void, it's the tactile absence, the cool side of the bed, the silence where breathing once provided a lullaby. Kelly's response to her mother's vulnerability was a testament to the Osbournes' unbreakable familial ties. In the immediate aftermath of Ozzy's passing, Kelly had become Sharon's literal and figurative support system. I slept with you for the first 2 months so that you weren't on your own," she shared tenderly. Those 2 months were a cocoon of shared sorrow, where the simple act of presence became a lifeline. Kelly, herself adrift in grief, found purpose in being there for Sharon, curling up in the master bed, surrounded by the scents and shadows of her parents' life together. It was an act of profound intimacy, one that blurred the lines between child and caretaker, reminding us that grief often reverses roles in unexpected ways. Yet even in this closeness, Kelly recognized the need for boundaries. "But then I felt like you needed some space," she explained, her insight born from empathy rather than detachment. Grief, as the Osbournes were learning, demands both connection and solitude. Sharon needed the warmth of her daughter's company to stave off the night's terrors, but eventually reclaiming her space became part of the healing process. This delicate dance underscores a universal truth. Mourning is not linear, It's a series of advances and retreats, of holding on and letting go. For Kelly, the mornings emerged as the cruelest battleground. I wake up and for the first 3 seconds I feel normal. And then I remember everything, she described with heartbreaking precision. That fleeting normalcy, the groggy haze of sleep giving way to consciousness, is a cruel tease, a brief reprieve shattered by reality's hammer. Mornings, once filled with the promise of a new day, now carried the sting of recollection. Mornings are the hardest for me, Kelly emphasized, linking the timing to the circumstances of Ozzy's death. It happened in the morning, a detail that etched itself into her psyche like a scar. This temporal anchor amplified the pain. Mornings had been sacred in the Osbourne home, reserved for the quiet rituals that grounded their chaotic lives. Kelly recalled spending those hours with her father, perhaps sharing coffee laced with stories of his indomitable spirit or simply basking in his larger-than-life presence. Ozzy, despite his frailty in later years, had a way of making every moment electric. His eyes twinkling with mischief, his voice a gravelly rumble that could shift from profound wisdom to bawdy humor in an instant. Those mornings were where Kelly felt most connected to him, away from the cameras and crowds, in the unguarded heart of family life.